Hello, my garden friends. It's Jersey Shore Lisa from MyNJGarden.com, and I wanted to share with you an update about how the garden is growing in June 2019. This year I've added a meadow strip to the front of the front yard. Some people think I'm a little crazy for adding this because it does look very weedy. There is tall grass that's happening within this area, but I've also spread out wildflower seed. I spread it out in the fall, and I've transplanted a few plants into here, like that coreopsis, those yellow flowers there, and some blue lobelia, which is still very sad looking, but maybe it'll perk up. And there are some little bulbs that I transplanted in here, but I'm really happy with how it's growing, even though it looks wild and weedy right now. I'm going to not mow this section of the yard, this very front strip, and see what develops over the years. It also happens to be right below power lines, so the birds are helping me seed it. And I'm not going to deter that at all. So I've left an opening in the front of the yard so that I welcome in the garden visitors. And I wanted to show you what else is happening. Check out the Nanking cherries. I did share a video early in the spring when the cherries were blooming, and now there's fruit all over it. I have to pick it all. It's just fantastic, and they are super, super productive. The prickly pear cactus, New Jersey's only native cactus, has put on new petals this year. I'm very happy about that. There's some garden phlox that's happening in among the beach plum. So these are the beach plums. I do see some damage on them from the plum curculio, I think it's called. And I had tried, I don't know if you can see it. There. It's got some of the fruit. So I had tried to spray some diatomaceous earth, dust the plant a couple of times, but we've just gotten so much rain that I don't know that it did any good at all. Though there's quite a lot of fruit on the bush, and there are 3 beach plums in the yard. So maybe they won't get all of them. This is a peach. The bonfire peach has peaches on it. I don't know how many of these will be edible either, but I did dust this with diatomaceous earth as well a couple of times. Let me tell you how productive the strawberries have been this year. They've been fantastic. Every day for the past week, I've been coming out and picking loads of them. And whatever we don't eat within a couple of days, I wash and cut up and put in the freezer so that I'll have strawberries for months. What else do we have here? In this bed, we have the jujube. These 2 jujubes I put in the very early spring. This one leafed out right away. I was very happy to see that, and I was very encouraged. But this one, which is the Shanxi Lee, took a really long time. He made me very nervous. I thought he was dead, but he woke up. Oh, we have a friendly spider on the jujube. So those are Chinese dates, and they are not native to this area, obviously, Chinese dates, but they do grow here and can be very productive and seem to be easy to care for, these trees, or so I've heard and read. So I'm looking forward to seeing them fruit. They're also supposed to start fruiting very quickly, within 2 years. So hopefully that will happen here as well. I've moved some coneflower into this section. There's the buffalo berry, no fruit yet, but it is a nitrogen fixer. I've tucked in some squash around. There's comfrey there, which is underneath this baby apricot. And we have a Oh, I don't know if you caught him, but there's a dragonfly out and about, and which I just recently read eats tons of mosquitoes every day. So super, I'm welcoming him into the garden. This is a peach tree. This was came in a large pot, and I potted it not last September, the September before, it was last September. And it did have fruit on it this year, but I'm pretty sure every peach fell. So we'll see how it does next year. I think it really needs to spread out its roots a little bit. I don't know if it's super happy yet. So we'll give it some time. The iris are done. The peony have bloomed. The bee balm, the Monarda, is going to be blooming soon. You can see the tops are really getting ready with these great big buds. And then this is another beach plum that still has some residual diatomaceous earth dust on there. This is the high bush cranberry, and there aren't many berries on it. It's supposed to be self-fertile, and periodically you'll get a berry or two. There are tons of flowers, though. It's a beautiful shrub. This is evening primrose that's coming up in the middle of the strawberries. I did put in some gomi berries, which are also nitrogen fixers this year. So this shrub is brand new. That's a gomi berry, and that'll get to be about 6 to 10 feet high and wide. And here's the other gomi berry. So those will fill in those areas. This is a Joe Pye weed, and one elderberry and the other elderberry. And it's so massive it doesn't even fit in the shot. Look at that. It's amazing. It's actually a little bit overwhelmingly big now. So I have to make some decisions, because this is the point when an elderberry is about 4 years old, when things start to happen. This season, it's fantastic, but you can see the sides are starting to droop because they weigh a lot. And once that fruit comes on, after the flowers are done, it's going to weigh a lot and weigh them down. And we'll start to get a shape that isn't, see, there are the flower umbrals, they haven't opened up yet. We'll start to get a shape that I'm not going to be really happy with. It might even lead to an open center. So I have to make some decisions as far as pruning goes. And elderberries have stems, this multi-stemmed shrub. The stems have a pith inside the middle. You can easily kind of gouge out the pith in a stick from an elderberry, and you can turn it into a whistle or a flute or something like that. So the centers are practically hollow. So when you prune them, you have this exposed area in the center of the wood that I'm afraid is vulnerable to pests and disease. So I really need to do some research as far as the best ways to prune. I would think my instinct is to prune out old wood first, but that may or may not be the way to do it. I need to look into that a little bit more. This is a pear. Those are the apple trees, and between them we have a black aronia berry, which has fruit on it, but it's not black yet. That'll be ready to harvest in the fall. We have some squash tucked in between, and a little tomato tucked in there, a rose, and some other perennials in there. I kind of need to neaten up the mulch a bit. This is the bed that has all the blueberries in it. So there are 5 blueberry bushes in this bed, and the biggest ones are the ones that have the blueberries on them right now. The smallest ones are actually putting on quite a lot of growth this year, so I'm happy about that. We have red dock sorrel back there, and that low-growing subshrub next to it is a lingonberry. We have 3 lingonberries in this bed. They are meant to be a ground cover. They're taking a really long time to cover the ground. Lingonberries have set fruit, and they're going to be ripe in the fall. There's a rhubarb and a yastaberry, and that's got fruit on it too, though it might be hard to spot because it's not black yet. A yastaberry is a cross between a black currant and a gooseberry. I don't like the flavor of a straight up black currant, but the yastaberry flavor is very enjoyable. I like that a lot. It's a little different. This is a butterfly bush, an Egyptian walking onion, peas on the trellis, a pawpaw tree. There's the other pawpaw tree. No fruit on it this year. That's okay. I'm waiting for my pawpaw fruit. These are red currants. You can see them turning red in there. More Egyptian walking onions. This is a gooseberry. Gooseberries have lots of fruit on them. The gooseberry, the currant, and the yastaberry are in the rib family. They do very well fruiting in shade, though this is not currently a very shady part of my garden. The gooseberry doesn't get much taller than that, but it does spread out horizontally. It kind of weeps down to the ground, much like the Egyptian walking onions, and layers into the soil, and it'll set roots there where the branch touches, and then it'll spring up again and spread that way. This is just one plant at this point, but it's spreading itself around. These are stachys. They are a tuberous mint, and they spread all throughout the bed. That's as high as they grow, so I'm letting that do its thing and cover the ground. These are Jerusalem artichokes. There's just a forest of them. They're fantastic. They will get to be 11 feet tall, and they have tubers that are edible under the ground. They're in the sunflower family, and the tubers are a starchy vegetable that could be thought of as a potato substitute. They are good to leave in the ground and harvest as you need them throughout the fall and winter. The voles like them though, so periodically I'll come upon one that looks like that because little underground critters have taken it down at the soil level. And that is really the front yard food forest, folks. I will update again soon with the other side of the yard. We'll take a tour and we'll go in the back and take a look at the keyhole gardens and see what annuals we have growing in there. I can buzz you through this one real quick. This is the rain garden, and you can see that it's a depression in the ground here. My house is on a slope, so when rain comes down this downspout and comes out there through that brown tube, the rain flows across the sidewalk and into the rain garden. This catches the runoff from the roof and stops it from just traveling down the driveway and into the street. This is important for clean water and protecting our Barnegat Bay in Ocean County, New Jersey. When storm water just flows down the street and into the storm drains, it takes all the pollutants along the road with it. And then directly out into the bay. The water is not cleaned at all. But if we can slow it and sink it on our property, the soil will help to clean that water before it makes its way to the bay. So that's really important. That's what I'm trying to do. This rain garden is planted with New Jersey native plants. So there are coneflower in here and balloon flower that hasn't bloomed yet. And this is an American beautyberry, and that's a red aronia berry shrub. More balloon flower. Solomon seal, which actually has an edible tuber and blooms in very early spring. That's false indigo or baptista, and it has beautiful blue spires of flowers. It's in the legume family, but it is a perennial, and it is not edible, but it is a nitrogen fixer, and it helps to improve the soil by fixing nitrogen from the air in nodules on its roots and sharing that nutrition with the soil life and the plants around it. This is Rudbeckia, I believe it's called, Maxima. It's a giant black-eyed Susan, and that will be blooming soon. You can see the buds up at the top there. They're very tall, and the pollinators love it. So that's one way to help do your part as far as conservation goes and to protect the environment. Build a rain garden where you know you will be able to interrupt the flow of water off your property and sink it into the soil. This is another black-eyed Susan in the back there. There are some iris behind that and a hydrangea. We have chives right there, and it's just outside the front door. That's a way to incorporate herbs and kitchen garden into an ornamental garden. We have hosta and liatris, which is a native perennial, and that will send up spikes of blue flowers. There are also escarole all around it because I spread out some of my compost, and I had let my escarole go to seed, and the compost, I assume, didn't get hot enough to kill it. So the seed has taken root and germinated here. That's a little basil that's starting to get going. There's some rose mallow there, which is in the hibiscus family, but the roots are traditionally what marshmallows are made of. This is an aromatic aster, which is a native perennial, and it blooms with pretty purple flowers in the fall. It's one of the last things I have blooming in the yard in the growing season. This is dotted mint, and I can't wait to see that bloom. I've never seen that. That's new. And just a little pot of wildflower seed. So that's the garden as of now in June 8th, 2019. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Please like it and subscribe to the channel and let me know your thoughts and comments. I'd love to read them, and I'll definitely reply if I can. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Happy gardening. Bye-bye.